Hello, good evening, and good evening.
What it do? What it
Min,
do? What it do?
mic check 1 2 1 2.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can indeed hear you. Thank
All
you for
right, good.
joining. Twins is
Yes.
currently in the car. He's being super dad and he's leaving his son's soccer game, or as we would call it in Jamaica, football. Uh, but he's leaving his son's game and is so dedicated to being my amazing co-host that he's in the car doing this from the car. So he will be off camera for a little bit until he gets in the house.
Yes. About 10 to 15 minutes or less, but I'll be there. But what's going on? How are you? How was your week?
Atlanta traffic, you're counting on 10 to 15 minutes. Is that 10 to 15 real minutes or 10 to
I
15
mean,
Atlanta traffic minutes?
from where I'm at, it's not that far.
Okay. Because I've been in Atlanta traffic. So
Right.
that's next level.
Definitely next level.
Atlanta traffic, Miami traffic isn't as bad. New York traffic, we all know about New York traffic. I've
Uh huh.
never, no, I have driven in LA, but I was driving out of LA. Like I was driving from LA to, was it Santa Clara? I have to remember where I was driving from LA to go to another part of California. So I haven't really been in that traffic, but definitely like Atlanta traffic was really bad. And Miami traffic, because the highways are always, because of having construction, like it's crazy. Anywho, how was your weekend?
Fun filled, packed and busy. So let's see. Friday cheerleading with my daughter, and
Oh,
then Saturday photos for soccer. He had practice. He had to take team photos,
okay, nice.
and then Sunday I just chilled and relaxed.
Nice. So daddy duty all weekend is what it sounds like.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
I remember those days and I do not miss them.
Yeah, but in your case, we'll call them mommy duties.
They were definitely mommy duties, and mommy duties had me driving all over the city because my daughter's been a competitive dancer since she was eight,
Okay.
and then she also played AAU basketball for a couple of years, and she went to an art school. So I remember one Friday we had a performance at her school, which ended at about 11:30. I came home, made her take a shower, put on some clothes, jump in the car, and drove from Toronto to Cincinnati, Ohio, where she had an AAU tournament, and their first game was 8:30 in the morning.
Oh wow.
I did not
Well,
sleep.
these are these are the struggles we do as parents. This is what we signed up for.
It's the amazing thing to do as parents, and it makes you really proud when you see your children actually dedicated to the things
Yes.
that you were running them around for. So my daughter is still a very dedicated competitive dancer. So I am very happy about that. My weekend was not as hectic as yours in some ways, but it was my best friend's mother-in-law passed away.
Aw, my condolences.
Yes, and we buried her the next day. So
Oh, y'all
they
didn't play around.
they are Jewish. So
Oh.
if you
Mhm.
don't have any Jewish friends, they bury their dead very quickly. Um, so we were informed that she had died at like 11:15 on the Saturday. I remember I was in HomeSense, and by 11 a.m. we were burying her.
Oh wow.
Um, and then they have to do Shiva, which is the period of mourning in Judaism, and so they're currently doing Shiva, and so they started it Sunday after the funeral. Then I went over yesterday. You basically bring the family food. So you bring the family food. So I made like a homemade baked mac and cheese, and so they could get to eat. And then they do again that time of morning, and they do it until Friday. So I'm gonna try to get back there Thursday or Friday. No, Thursday I can't actually have a baseball game, but Friday because that's the last day.
Okay.
Of Shiva. But yeah, it's an interesting way. It makes me think about when I go, do I want the long drawn out Jamaican way that takes like 4 5 6 weeks because people have to come from England and this place and that place, all kinds of
Right.
ways, or do I want a swift turnover? Trying to figure it out.
You got to put that in your will.
I've been talking to my daughter about it. She never wants to talk about it because she's just like, she's like, Mom, I don't want to talk about this. But I'm like, you do realize I'm not going to live forever. So I actually, the best friends, we all started talking about it in terms of how so this is the second time we've done this because her father-in-law had passed away right before they got married 10 years ago. And so we had to observe Shiva like 10 years ago. And we're just like, this is just so very interesting. And we think we're going to do a little bit, like, I think I'm going to do a combination of both. I don't think I'm going to do it the next day, but I would ask for it to happen within a week. And for there to also be a period of mourning for which, you know, my daughter is supported and hopefully my husband by that point in life. So, you know, please shall see. Anywho, so that was my weekend. So it was, you know, rest in peace to her. You know, watching people suffer is never good. So
Right.
I do pray that she's in a better place, and she's clearly not suffering. Anywho, I decided to do this show, Am I the Asshole, based on the Reddit trend that's happening. So I heard about this a couple of years ago from my daughter because she would watch a show where they would actually read these stories and then, you know, talk about whether the person or not was an asshole. So I found this extremely interesting, and then I was motivated to be like, let me look on this thread to see if there are any relationship topics that we can relate to, and then answer the question whether or not the asshole. But before I even start reading some of this stuff, I'm going to say, if you have to go to the internet to ask people if you are the asshole, you probably are the asshole. And Twins just fell off, and so I'm going to wait for him to come back. But that's really the thing for me, everyone. If you are in a position where you have to come on the internet and write anonymously to a bunch of strangers asking for advice, it is very likely that you are indeed the asshole. That is almost my answer. Now, there might be circumstances that you're not, but to me, like, you don't want to go to your family and friends and, you know, talk about this issue. You choose to do it with strangers who don't know you, who don't know your background, who don't know how you normally react to things. And so I'm going to say most of them were probably going to agree that these people are indeed the asshole. I did not put the link this week in the comment section. Twins is coming back. Maybe I should actually, let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and actually, Twins, I realized I did not put the link to invite people to join in the comment section. I'm going to see if I can do this right now. And if I can do it, let's see how I will do this. I might not be able to do this because we're live. Let me try something here. We're about to find out. Can I?
I'm back.
Hold on, let me see. I'm back. I'm in. Are we good? I think you can see me. Okay, I'm hoping everybody can see and hear me. If you're watching, please let me know if you can see and hear me. I think I can because I can see myself on the screen. Okay, so we are going to be reading from the Reddit thread, Am I the Asshole? If you have some commentary, the link to join the show is in the comment section. You just click on the link and you can come backstage and I'll let you in to answer these questions, because you might disagree with my and Twins' commentary about whether these people are the assholes. But what are your thoughts, Twins? If you have to go to strangers on the internet to ask if you're an asshole, My take is that you know that you're an asshole.
So repeat that one more time. I'm sorry.
So Mr. Mystery, there's a bit of an echo because Twins is in his car on the
Give
way
me
home, so I think that's why you're hearing echo.
okay. Give me like I'm literally like 10 minutes away. I'll be right back in 10 minutes. Okay.
Okay,
Hold it
so
down. Okay.
I'm gonna hold it down.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. You can help me while Twins is off, and let me know your thoughts because I'm gonna read some off the thread, the Reddit thread, Am I the Asshole? And you're going to let me know your thoughts about whether these people are the assholes. Again, if you want to join, the link is in the comment section. You can come on. You do not have to come on camera, but I am curious to know what people's thoughts are. Because again, I believe that if you have to go on Beyonce and Blue Ivy's internet to ask strangers if you're the asshole, you are probably indeed the asshole. So this first one, and of course, my phone is going to take forever. So and this first one is asking, oh, the person deleted it since I first read it. So that first one is gone because they went ahead and deleted it. So let's go to the next one. So the next one is, am I the asshole for telling my husband it's not okay he worked a 12-hour day on my birthday? I'm not. Usually, those people are not the asshole. Well, we're about to find out, but let's hear it. I am ready. So I haven't read all of these. I've read a little bit of each. So I'm going to be reading the full thing with all of you. So this is the first one again. Am I the asshole for telling my husband it's not okay he worked a 12-hour day on my birthday? It's my birthday today. For the other 51 Mondays of the year, my husband has been home before dinner. Today he left at 6 a.m., just home at 6 p.m. For all of the birthdays in our family, we, and she put I question mark, always make it special. Cake for breakfast, early and fun dinner out, simple yet fun to make the person feel it's a special day. He told me last week he booked this job in for today. I said, oh, that's my birthday. He said he hadn't looked at the date, so didn't realize it was my birthday. He said his client was getting the keys to his new house today, so he wanted all the electrical work done. Husband is an electrician. And he had booked in 2 other people to work with him. He said, we'll get something for dinner. 5 p.m. come, the kids are hungry, toilet training 3-year-old is grumpy, and I literally can't cook anything other than boiled eggs and toast safely while I have him on my hip. To add insult to injury, he's just been away for 2 days because I told him he looked exhausted and needed a break. He works hard to maintain the finances for our family. I had a big corporate job before kids, which I had to leave when we had them, or else I'd never see them. But I've worked my ASS off teaching myself a new profession and have just started turning a profit. I'm so mentally exhausted, and my youngest is so attached to me. I can't even use the restroom without him touching me, bless his heart. Pre-kids, I had lots of social interactions. I loved it. I feel so isolated, and I often go a full day or more without talking to someone over the age of 5. He knows I struggle with this. Am I the asshole for being angry at my husband for working all day on my birthday? Feeling so gutted, I had to take a walk when he came home and left the kids to him. P.S. Probably could have prepared a better dinner, but I'm too gutted and I'm all over their nutrition the other 364 days of the year. It's all I had the energy to muster. P.P.S. He knows I was upset when he first told me he was working that full day. I knew based on what he had to do and where it was that it'd be a big day. So, is she the asshole for being upset? No. I think under any normal circumstances, any person, and I will just speak as a woman, any woman would be upset that on her birthday, her husband was not around and not available to her. However, I actually think this is not about the fact that he missed her birthday. I think this is, if she were to be honest with herself, I think this is about the fact that she hates her life. I think she hates her life. And the reason I think she hates her life is she could have told that entire story without talking about what her life was like before kids. Right? Before kids, I had a big corporate job. I had lots of social interactions. I had a life of my own. I was doing my thing. Now I have these kids, and I can't even talk to adults anymore. And this 3-year-old that I'm potty training is attached to me. I only have the energy for boiled eggs and bread. Now the reality is that woman could have picked up her phone and ordered Uber Eats, right? Like, if she didn't, it was her birthday. So realistically, she could have ordered Uber Eats. She could have asked her husband to order something on his way. There's a lot of things that she could have done. So I think the reality is this is more than just about her birthday. This is about the state of her life, and she hates it. And I think what happens is a lot of women do not want to admit that they hate being mothers. They don't want to admit it because they feel like it's that people are going to judge them, and people do. People judge me all the time when I'm like, kids, kids are, right? Like that's my feeling about it. But I think that's realistically what's going on. It isn't so much about the birthday, because there's still ways that they could have made it special. They could have got a babysitter. She could have done a bunch of things that she knew was going to make special. I really do think that she hates her life. So Mr. is saying he should have remembered her birthday and not booked the job on that day. Also, tradesmen work long hours a lot. They can be unpredictable. A lot of people celebrate their birthday on the next free day. I agree with you. And this is why I'm saying, Mr. This is not about her birthday. This is about the total sum of her life, and she hates the very existence of where her life is right now. Again, when a woman starts thinking about and reminiscing on their pre-life, before kids, this is like, I just don't like the state of my life, what it is. Because the reality is, listen, my birthday is important to me. And if I'm like, listen, my husband's going to be out working, as much as that would peeve me off, I will not lie. That would have actually irritated me, but I also think that like everybody's life should stop on my birthday, right? I'm a Scorpio. What can I say? But even then, if her birthday was so important to her, she could have found a babysitter. And whether it's somebody from the daycare, I don't know, somebody, a friend, she's got to have friends where she is. There's someone, a professional babysitter, an agency, someone where they could have come, gotten themselves together and said to her husband, listen, I know that you're going to work long day, but for me, I'd really like to have, say, dinner reservations at 7:30. How long is the job going to take? And really made an effort. It's clear that he's doing what he needs to do to financially support the family. And she could have done something to make sure that she had the type of birthday that she wanted, right? Like, it's still like it's clear he wasn't going to plan anything. He forgot, and that sucks. Like, that also hurts, right? But if we also think about it on the other side, he's now responsible for feeding 4 mouths because she's a stay-at-home mom now. So as much as, yeah, he forgot her birthday, he's also now responsible for 4 mouths. Before, when it was 2 of them and there was no kids and she was working hard and he was working hard and they were doing their thing, it's different. Now she's not working in the corporate world. She's a stay-at-home mom, which is work within itself. So don't get me wrong, everybody, but she's not bringing in an income. This man is bringing income. So guess what? I get your point, Mr. But maybe he couldn't move the date. That was the day the man was getting the keys. This man needed stuff. He's got to make sure that the roof stays over their heads and the food in their mouth. And that's what happened. I get her being pissed off, but I think, again, I think there's a bigger picture. I think she actually is pissed off because she hates her life. And I'm gonna tell you, there are a lot of women who hate their lives after they become mothers, especially because their life changes a lot more than their spouses or partner or boyfriend or whomever they have a child with, right? If it is a 2-parent home, the woman's life is going to change much more than the man's. And I think a lot of women end up resenting men because we're like, what the hell? Your life is pretty much almost the same, but our life has changed because we breastfeed, we're the caretaker. A lot of the children are attached to us. I remember for the first 2 to 3 years, like it was a lot. There's a lot that's going on while my daughter's father was like, do off and doing what he was doing within a couple of weeks of me having the baby. And so there is always some resentment there. So, but I think, listen, I think this is something that clearly this couple can talk through. And she just has to express how she's feeling to him and saying, you know what, like, I need you to make this a point to remember my birthday, number one. And in the future, I would really like it if you could avoid and have this be a blackout day so that we can have some time for herself. And hopefully he'll make it up to her. And then, like, to your point, Mr. They can have, a birthday celebration in a free day. But this is not, to me, a big enough deal to have like major, I would hope, have major issues in the relationship. Okay, so the next am I the asshole question. Okay, this one was interesting. This one, Mr. I actually cannot wait to hear what you have to say. I will actually read this comment that you have before I move on to the next one. So you are saying, and I'm waiting for this to pop up on my screen at the TV here, and it's taking forever because I don't know why it's so delayed. Okay. When you want a man to pay 100% of the bills, a lot of times daddy doesn't have time to pay cash in the backyard. Daddy is going to miss your dance recital. That's what comes with 100% financial responsibility. That is my point. And so this is something that needs to be considered. I think when we are so upset about something, we also need to look at the other side of it. Yes, she's upset that he's worked and did all those things, but the reality is he has 100% of the financial responsibility for 4 mouths. Yeah, he's gonna miss some stuff. Yeah, if he's got a job and he's an electrician, he's gonna take that job. And yes, it might mean that vacations and those things are not happening. And now that she says she's starting a new business and turning a profit, maybe things will lighten up a little bit. But we can't want the protector, the provider, and all of these different things, but also necessarily want him to take us on vacation and be there at our every whim. It just sometimes isn't at all possible to have both. So I think that becomes the major issue that I think as women we have to understand. The protector and the provider role comes with a lot more responsibility than we actually are prepared to talk about, unless you're dating some rapper, ball player, movie star, somebody else whose responsibilities is not the same as the average working man. Then baby girl, your husband's gonna miss out on some things, and that's that. We just finished one, twins. I'm just about to read the next one.
Okay.
Mr. has been, as usual, keeping me company.
Appreciate it.
And everybody else who's watching us, feel free to pipe in. We'd love to hear. Again, the link to join the show is in the comment section. I pinned it, so if you want to have commentary, thank you, Mr. for typing yours, but if you want to join and have commentary, please do so. Okay, so this second one is, am I the asshole because my husband took our child around some men I've never met? Some man, I should say, I've never met. Okay. Okay, my 36, this is what happens when people don't know how to write. Me, 36 female, husband, 41 male, took our 10-month-old daughter to his mother's yesterday to visit and was gone for 3 hours. He does this once a week and she loves visiting her gamma. Today, his mother came over and during conversation asked me if I'd met, let's call him Nate. And I said, who? Apparently, when my husband went to her house yesterday, he had a man with him called Nate, and my mother-in-law was uncomfortable with this man being there and understandably unhappy that her time with her son and grandchild was interrupted by this guy being there. Also, they only visit her for an hour before leaving. My husband was gone with our child for over 3 hours. I've never even heard of someone called Nate, and we have a limited group of people with interactions with, someone called Nate, and we have a limited group of people with interaction with where we live. Oh, Jesus Christ. As most of our friends live all over the country. My husband didn't mention anything to me about this guy. For some background, my husband is a recovering addict. Oh, Jesus Christ. Here we go.
It gets worse.
Right? Like, he's had a few relapses, and while he does his best, he still leans more towards partying than I like. He loves our daughter very much, but has struggled with the lifestyle change of having a baby. Anyway, after some digging, mother-in-law tells me that he apparently met this guy recently down the street from where we live. We live on a cute little block town, but not the best area and not far from a not great area of town. Again, he's never mentioned this guy to me. Mother-in-law says my husband and Nate talked about partying the entire time they were there. At this point, I'm pretty livid. He took our child and had her around a strange man. I didn't know for several hours, just the three of them. And an hour at his mother's house. My God, people, please read this before you post it. And on top of it all, didn't say a word about it. Just let me assume he was with his mother the entire time. The biggest issue to me is that it is not safe. When I asked him about it, he yelled at me saying I didn't want him to have any friends and that I'm always getting on him for everything. He stormed out and slammed the door, scaring our two dogs. Examples of me getting onto him are asking him not to drive our daughter after drinking a few beers, asking him to take his car and not mine when he goes out to have a drink with his friend I know. I guess my question here is, am I the asshole for not wanting my husband to take our 10-month-old daughter somewhere with a man I had never met before? Don't know that this matters, but I don't know what SAHM is. I'm a nurse. Oh, I'm not a stay-at-home mom. I'm a nurse, so I work 3 days a week, and I'm also in a graduate program currently. Also, the only people that take care of my daughter are my sister, her babysitter, or us. My dad, brother, and mother-in-law visit with her often, and my father-in-law and his wife see her occasionally. Our out-of-town friends have seen her a few times, and some have yet to meet her. God. But we've been friends for 10 plus years, so I trust them all. My mother is deceased. That's a whole lot.
Yeah, that was a mouthful. So first off, is she an asshole? Yes. First off, and it ain't got nothing to do with her being mad at her husband.
Yes, it's from marrying that man and having a baby with him.
Thank you. That's where I was at. So you're a returning addict and y'all decided to have a baby together? Like, that was the red flag alone. Forget it. Like, how we get to the baby part? How we just skip the part of, how about if we're going to start a family and raise a functional household, why won't both of us get clean and be good?
And the part about it is she's not a recovering addict. He is. She's a nurse. And this is, again, their ages are 36 and 41. If she had said 21 and 24, maybe we have a different argument, but you are a grown woman. And what it sounds like is this is their only child. So you waited 36 years, 35 years to have a baby with a drug addict who's going around leaving your daughter in the car while he's driving drunk and with some stranger man?
I mean, let's be honest. If she's this old and now having a baby, she didn't have many options.
Stop this.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
Stop this. Okay, stop this. Mr. and Mrs. Sirs, at first I was going to say she is the asshole, but after she said recovering drug addict, that changed everything. She has good reason to be suspicious of his associates. Listen, I agree, she's good reason, very big facts, but I just don't know how you even get there. To Twins' point, how do you get to the point that you knowingly lay down with a recovering drug addict and have his baby, and you actually still allow him to have the baby alone while he's going to parties and driving drunk with your baby in the back seat?
Yeah. 10-month-old too. Let's be clear.
10 months old.
So not even a full year yet.
And you just met some man down the street in the not so great neighborhood?
Right. There's so many red flags there too. Why are you bringing strangers into your house?
And then to your mother's house. And then bringing stranger men to his mother's house. So there is something just not even just the drug part, but he may not walk a straight line. That's all I'm going to say. He
And
may not walk a straight line.
just throw the whole relationship away.
Throw the whole thing away.
Besides the baby. Baby had no choice in this. But everyone else, throw them away.
Throw it all away. So ma'am, I wish you, ma'am. Moving on.
Clearly when she wrote it, she didn't read it. Because if you wrote this out and then read it out loud, you're like, you know what? I'm not gonna post this because
thank you. She didn't spell check, she didn't grammar check, she didn't anything. Because I was having real difficulties trying to put some of these things together. And girl, I get it. You want to protect your child, you're mad. I just think she has to be prepared for the reality of the situation. Her husband, who she is married to, is not suited for being a husband and or a father. And we sometimes need to understand that no matter how much we love someone, if I've never had to deal with someone in my life who is addicted to drugs, but I know someone close to me who had. And sometimes the drugs just have them, and you just need to be okay with that and shouldn't have had a baby. So Mr. said, I had a friend who immediately ended the whole relationship when his baby mama drove drunk with their daughter in the car. Facts. Done. Get your kid. Get your kid. There is not even a question, because here's my thing. I would think that there is some things that is worth you saying no to that drug, to that drink, to that smoke, to that whatever you need to give up. And I think your child is that thing. Maybe not your mama, maybe not your daddy, maybe not the woman that you love, your wife, your husband, whomever. But once you have a child and you look at, I am responsible for this little human being. For you to look at that baby as you're slugging back some beers and driving the car with them, I just don't trust you. No, thank you. No, thank you. Anywho, this next one is, am I the asshole for calling out my husband and his mother? Okay. My husband, 34 male, and I, 32 female, have been together for 5 years. Married for 1. He adopted my daughter from a previous relationship, 7 female, and we have a son together, 3 male. We live directly next door to his mother, 52 female. I really like that. Stepfather, 49 male. My husband and I both work very demanding jobs, but because I have more normal hours, I'm responsible for picking up the kids at the end of the day. At the beginning of the year, my husband and his mother unilaterally decided to pull my kids out of the daycare they're going to because they didn't think it was safe. I still have yet to see any evidence that the daycare was unsafe, but they gave me the flexibility I needed to pick up my kids around 6 every night. So my mother-in-law found a daycare, and because she's a real estate agent who owns her own brokerage, she took it upon herself to pick up my kids when the daycare closes at 4 p.m. She often asks to keep the kids overnight as well, which I'm happy to oblige because they also have a waterfront property and bring my kids there to go swimming and kayaking often. These kids are living the life.
Right.
This past Tuesday, I was struggling to leave work on time and let my mother-in-law know that I was going to be late. Her response was, I'm just going to keep them overnight. You picking them up this late is going to disturb their bedtime routine. I proceeded to call my husband and tell him how upset I was that my mother-in-law was keeping the kids without even asking me. I use the term hostage because she's extremely overbearing and controlling at times. My husband asked me what my alternative was to the current arrangement, and I suggested that the kids switch to a different daycare and school that's closer to my work so that I can pick them up at the end of the day. My husband then insinuated that I was doing this just to spite his mother and that I needed to go see a doctor and get medicated. Damn. Then proceeded to conference call in his mother without telling me he was going to do that so I could tell her exactly how I feel. His mother was sobbing His mother was sobbing to me on the phone that she didn't mean to upset me or hurt my feelings, and she's easygoing, and if I have a problem with something, I should just tell her directly. By this point, it felt like I was getting ganged up on, so I let them both have it. I told them they were making all the parenting decisions without really involving me, that these were my kids, not her kids, and my husband was a piece of shit for not supporting me and backing me up. My mother-in-law and I have not spoken since that interaction, and my husband and I are on very thin ice. I'm not going to insinuate that I didn't do anything wrong, because I know there are things that I could have done better and handled differently in the situation. But am I the asshole for handling this the way I did? ETA. I've had an ongoing issue with mother-in-law and her disrespect of
There
boundaries.
we go.
Huh?
I was waiting for that right there. I was waiting for that little tidbit right there. Go finish it.
Yeah. I've had an ongoing issue with mother-in-law and her disrespect of boundaries. I trust her completely with my kiddos, and I'm extremely grateful to have her around my kids, but she does not know when she's stepping over the line. She's cut my son's hair without asking, chastised me for feeding my kids SpaghettiOs. Oh, I get that. I do that too. She gives me tons of unsolicited parenting advice. When my son was first born, she would barge into our house unannounced and grab my son. It's just not a one-time scenario. Is she the asshole?
No, after in the last 2 minutes of dialogue, she should have led with that, because that she answered every question I was going to say. I'm like, is this a one-time event? Clearly not. So no, I don't think she's an asshole, and I think the mom is controlling. I think the father or the husband is not putting his foot down in his household. I mean, that's what happened when you live next door to your family.
Yeah.
You know what? I never lived close to my parents. Like now, my mom got to fly down here to see me. But even when I was up north, she still had to drive a good 45 minutes to see me. I made it not easy for nobody to come over and pop up. But no, I don't think she's an asshole. I don't. Not my.
I think what is interesting is they clearly don't, none of them have boundaries, right? So she doesn't have boundaries with her husband, and they clearly don't have boundaries with the mother-in-law, and the mother-in-law doesn't have boundaries with her son, right? So I think that there's a set of clear boundaries. Here's the thing. I think what is interesting, I think the reality is she likes the fact that she has help. Like, let's all be clear. She has the perfect help. You want a babysitter, you just have to go to the next house, right? Like, there's no issue. She's there. I just think for her that the mother-in-law feels like, you know what? Here's the thing. The mother-in-law doesn't feel like she's raising the kids properly. Let's just call it what it is. She doesn't like her parenting skills. She thinks she's a bad mom. And she's basically telling her she's a bad mom. But at the same time, mother-in-law is manipulative, because I feel like tears are so manipulative. I feel like if I'm in a discussion with someone and they start crying, I'm done talking to you, because what you're trying to do is manipulate me with your tears. So the moment she said the mother-in-law started sobbing on the phone and all of that, clearly that's his mom. So he's going to be like, my wife's making my mom cry. But the mom's over there being like, I'm crying because I'm manipulating the whole situation. The whole thing is a mess. They clearly need to figure out what these boundaries are. At the end of the day, he's not going to stop talking to his mother. That doesn't sound like it's that relationship. But she's going to figure out what the boundaries are and go from there. Let's hear what Mr. has to say. But yeah, I think it's interesting. And a daycare that closes at 4, I've never heard of such things. Like, I've never heard of a daycare that actually closes at 4 p.m. Every daycare I know closes at 6. So the mother-in-law definitely knew what she was doing, because she knew ain't no mother being able to leave no job at 3:30 to go get their kids by 4. But she owns her own brokerage, so she can leave at any time. Nobody can tell her anything. She's the boss. So Mr. and Mrs. said kids get abused in childcare. So I wasn't tripping about taking the kids out of that location for safety reasons. But then it all unraveled after this. These are habitual line steppers facts. So boundaries are important. So advice to them is set boundaries. And they need to figure out in their relationship what their boundaries are. They need to be talking about things that need to be discussed, right? I think that there's certain things, like for me, there's like things that I'm going to discuss in my marriage are, for instance, our finances. I won't be allowed, or we won't be allowed to spend a certain amount of money without consulting the other, right? So if the purchase is over a certain amount, I would know that I have to go to my husband and say, hey, babe, I really want to do this purchase. Like, let's discuss it. Let's figure it out. And say, let's say the amount is $1,000, right? So he can't go out and buy a Suzuki motorcycle that costs $10,000 without having a discussion with me. And I can't, go book an all-inclusive vacation with my girls and say we're going to wherever, the south of France, for $5,000 without having a discussion with my husband. So I think that there are certain things that they need to be discussing. So she needed to discuss, like, when it comes to parenting decisions, we need to sit down and make them jointly. And your mother over there shouldn't have a part in it. Yes, she can help us. She can be our support system, but she can't be making decisions about our children. So
I agree. Also throw in there that the mom needs a man as well.
The mom is married though. She's married. She has a whole husband.
Yeah, but that means it's chaos in her house too. Like you got to peel back the layers. Because as a man and husband, I would not allow my wife to be that controlling to our daughter. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever.
Yeah, agreed.
If you don't sit your butt down, like, I will have to check that myself. Like, what we not gonna do?
Yeah.
But he probably, you know what? He's probably happy that she's in their hair because she's not in his.
She's not in his.
Layers to it goes back. Like, what is mom doing so much? Well, she got so much time invested in your kids. She don't got no life. And
here's the thing: a woman at her age, because she's still fairly young, mom. I think they said mom is 52. To own a brokerage, she's a boss, right? Like, and she's probably handles everything in a particular way, and she's used to control, and she wants to control everything because control got her to be able to, have a brokerage, and if they have a waterfront property, she's making millions a year at her brokerage, and she just took that same attitude and brought it into her family, and that's just not working. So
that's chaotic. But
good luck to them.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is now a relationship one between friends. So am I the asshole for not apologizing to my friend after she screamed at me and my kid at her wedding? Okay.
Oh.
Yes. Okay. So this was a day ago. So 2 weeks ago, I, female 29, hubby, male 31, and son, male 4, attended my BFF's female 28 wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony and everything was going great until BFF and her husband cut the cake. Important context. BFF did speak to me during her wedding planning about being unsure on whether or not to allow kids at her wedding. Her 2 sisters both have kids around son's age, and she sees him as her nephew too, but she wanted to be able to let loose and enjoy her wedding without worrying about any kids messing things up. I gave her my opinion, saying me and hubby allowed kids at our wedding and wouldn't have it any other way. Well, this is not your wedding. The kids were still family and deserve to be included. No, they don't. They're kids. But anyways, after that, they just deserve a roof over their head. But anyways, after that, and speaking with her sisters, she and her husband okayed kids for the wedding.
Okay.
Now, this is going to be awful. Now, the ceremony went swimmingly. BFF's nieces sat with me, hubby, and son as her sisters were in the bridal party. I brought quiet activities to keep them entertained, and everybody behaved. I even cried from how lovely it was. When we got to the reception, nieces were returned to their parents, so it was now just me, hubby, and son. Dinner went fine, and then the couple took to the dance floor for their first dance. Afterwards, everybody was welcomed to the floor to dance for a bit before cake cutting. At this point, the kids were running around, absolutely not, and playing with each other, and it was a fairly secure space, and I knew almost everybody there, so felt comfortable with son playing with the other kids while hubby and I had fun dancing. Important to mention now, hubby offered to be the designated driver so I could enjoy myself, so I had a couple of glasses of wine at this point. BFF had also been drinking, celebrating. Of course she should, it's her damn wedding. We move on. BFF and her husband go to do cake cutting, and hubby and I are a little slow getting there. So there was a crowd blocking our view. Suddenly, I hear BFF screams son's name. Hubby and I push forward to see what's wrong. I see my son with frosting around his mouth and on his fingers. The cake had a small chunk taken out of it. I tried to apologize, but BFF turned around and yelled, "This is your fault. Your son ruins my cake. He's only here because you told me it would be worth it to include the kids." I yelled back, telling her that it was just an accident and the rest of the cake was still edible. that this was her nephew she was screaming about. She told me I was no friend of hers and he wasn't her nephew in front of everyone. She told me to leave or she'd call security. Son and I were crying. I don't know what ATP means. And the three of us left. One of the bride's sisters reached out to me after and apologized for her sister's reaction, but said I needed to apologize. I think sorries are out of the window now after her outburst. I told her sister so and said I expect an apology first before I'd say anything to her. Not only did she blow up at me in front of everyone, but at my son. I'm humiliated, but even more angry on his behalf. So am I the asshole if I refuse to apologize first? Absolutely.
You say again?
Fuck them kids. Fuck them kids. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not allowing kids.
Oh, wait. So she's not an asshole.
She is absolutely the asshole.
She is asshole.
Absolutely. First of all, I'm sorry. You don't get to go to other people's weddings and say, I'm gonna let my son basically run loose with the other kids at the wedding and then be mad at her because he had first of all, his nasty little dirty germy hands are now all over my cake. He touched my cake, took a chunk out of my cake, is sitting there with my cake all over his face, and then you have some nerve to talk about, well, the rest of it is still edible. Fuck you and your kid. Sorry.
Oh, damn. Fuck you and the kids.
Fuck you and the kids.
But no, I mean, okay, all right. I was making sure. So the story was written from the person who got embarrassed, not the.
Yeah, so she's the one that has the son.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, she is the asshole.
Yes. And Mr. said, who wants to eat a cake that someone had put their fingers in? And not just someone, a 4-year-old grimy little child who's probably sneezed in his hand, rubbed it all over, rubbed other kids, rubbed God knows what, and now you're like, but it's edible?
And also, too, as you was reading the story, what did you say? The kids were running around. So, of course, they're getting dirty. Yeah, and let's be real. Let's be honest. I've been to a wedding. I've been married, and the wedding cake is not cheap. Like
at all.
Like the cake is like you spend an easy $1,000 on the cake. Easy.
Agree. Especially if there are different layers, and depending on if there's fondant and all kinds, and if it's buttercream and all of the different for a damn cake. So fuck you and your kid.
And mind you, also think about it too, like for you people who have not been married yet, getting that cake to that destination is an obstacle by itself.
Thank you. And they charge you for that.
They charge you for that. And it comes boxed. It got, man, you just don't understand. So I understand. Yeah, I'll be, if I was the woman, as the groom, I probably wouldn't trip as much, but I can understand the wife being upset because we spent this money for the cake and control your kid. And why'd your kid run around supervised anyway? Like, yeah, that was a no-go. Yeah, so at the end of the day, no kids shouldn't be there.
Absolutely, asshole. And here's the thing, like, I have, little young nieces and nephews because my best friends decided after having older children, they should go and have young children. Love them. They're a blessing. However, they will be at my wedding because they will be in my wedding, but they will not be at my reception. This is where you get a grandparent, a babysitter, or somebody will take your damn kid away from my wedding. The reception is for adults only. The wedding, it's great. All the pictures, kiss, hug, hug. But after that, your kids are gone. When it's time for reception, you figure out who comes and gets the damn kid because the kid is not at the reception. And how dare you let her then do it, and then you think it's fun time? You're still a mom of that kid. You should have found a babysitter. I'm sorry, like I would be pissed. Mr. and Mrs. said when confronted about her son digging in the cake, that was the wrong response. Fact. She should not have made excuses for her son, and she should have apologized immediately. It's not enough, but it helps. Absolutely. And I think the problem is her just being like, oh, well, what happens? The cake is still edible. And, I'm embarrassed and my son's embarrassed. Your son's 4. Your son doesn't know not a damn thing about embarrassment and no 4 years old. You know you're the asshole. And that's why you're embarrassed. And he said, kid probably was playing with dogs beforehand. Exactly. Dogs licking all over his face. And he put that same face in that cake. Like, it's just all bad. You're absolutely the asshole. Absolutely. Positively, 100%, without question, absolutely the asshole.
No disagreement here.
Absolutely asshole. Okay, we have one more, and then I'm actually going to take some questions out of this tonight's conversation, and I know you hate this. I'm going to take a couple of questions out of tonight's conversation for us to answer those questions. Okay. This one I did not read. I didn't even read. I just read the subject line because I really wanted to get surprised by what this person is saying. Am I the asshole for asking my wife for an open relationship after 2 years without sex?
Ooh.
I'm going to pause there for a second. I'm going to pause there for a second. So back when this show started, I had a show on open relationships with my then boyfriend, who turned fiance. And if you have not watched that show, literally look up Fuck Your Feelings, the show, and just Google open relationships. Because when you have an actual conversation about open relationships, you start digging deeper into the layers and determining if it's for you. So, okay, let me read this. And I do not believe in going 2 years in a relationship without sex. I barely go 2 days. So you should probably know my answer to that. 2 years. I don't go 2 days. 2 years. Okay. Okay. It feels weird to type, but next year I will be 30. I have been. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
It feels weird to type, but next year I will be 30. I have been married since I was 22. My wife is the same age. This is where it gets tough. 3 years ago, she had just beaten cervical cancer.
Oh.
She had surgery and she was a soldier throughout the whole process. I am very proud of her. After the surgery, we didn't have sex for obvious reasons, and I accepted that. However, she still gave me oral sex frequently. I would try to please her as best as I could without hurting her, but it's tough. Eventually, her sex drive disappeared completely. She just did not want to be intimate anymore. This has been going on for 2 years. She will give me oral sex on my birthday or special occasions.
Oh, hell no.
But that's it. I am still very attracted to my wife. I love her very much. I do not want to give up sex for the rest of my life. I don't blame you. I have talked to her countless times, and she's just not into it anymore. It's not a pain thing, but a desire thing. I've been reading up on open relationships, basically just things to satisfy my needs as a man while still living and loving my wife. She was not receptive of the idea at all, to say the least. Crying, yelling, you name it. She doesn't understand why I even asked. Even after I could explain, I want to grow old with her, but I don't want to be old now and give up sex. I don't even know what I could have done differently. I don't even know what I could have done different in this besides just shut up and be celibate forever. Is he the asshole? Absolutely not.
No. Especially in your prime 20s. Like, that's prime 3 times like, that's in your man.
The man's 29 years old. He's been married for 7 years, which means that they were likely together for maybe 2-3 years before that. So he's been with this woman, I'd say, for at least a solid decade. And he's in the prime of his sexual life. And she thinks that it is okay to give this man head on his birthday and special occasions, anniversary and Valentine's Day. So maybe he's getting head 3-4 times a year, and she's gonna cry, yell, and scream because this man wants to be sexually pleased at 29.
Yeah, so either she allows him to get an open relationship, or he's gonna have a side chick, or he's gonna leave. That's it. There's no other options. And
Mr. said, that's a fuck, dude. I'm not saying he should do it, but I understand. Fuck no. Like, I think it's so, and listen, I know it's like, oh, but poor her, she went through cervical cancer. Here's the thing about it is that's not an excuse for her to feel as if because she's gone through something traumatic, she should put him through something like that. The reality is she could have gone to her doctor and had a conversation and said, listen, I am no longer feeling the desires I felt before after the surgery. I love my husband very much, and I want to be intimate with my husband. Because again, there's that intimacy. Like, forget the actual penetration. The intimacy is not there. The connection is not there. All of those things are not there. And if she's not even showing interest in that man, I don't know. they don't have kids. I don't know. If it was my brother, I'd be like, divorce her ass. I'm not even lying.
Yeah, he walk around frustrated. He frustrated. My man is frustrated. I'm sorry.
That's a lot, and I love the fact that he says, "I love her. I want to grow old with her. I want to have a life with her." I 100,000 respect that. I think that is a beautiful thing because that is all what we all want. But I think sometimes as women, we are so caught up in our own needs, desires, our own feelings that we don't think about our husbands. And there is just no way I could see in 2 years giving my man head like 8 to 10 times in 700, and how many days is that? 730 days. 2 years is 730 days, and the man is going to get head maybe 10 times in 730 days. That's crazy to me. Mr. said this is exactly one of the biggest reasons men avoid marriage. For whatever reason, it's very common for most women to eventually stop effing. Listen, and I can get when we're going through things, right? Like she was going through something, so I can completely respect that, and it was clear that he respected that, right? But for her to just completely shut it off and then not even be open to discussion, because that's what I really talked about. I know, twins, if you remember watching that show with Rob and I, but that was one of the things that I talked about, is being able to open to having a discussion about something, even if it makes you uncomfortable, right? This is a conversation that may have made her uncomfortable, but she didn't even let him feel safe enough to validate his feelings, to say, you know what? Let me hear you out. Let me hear you out as to why you feel that this is necessary. I want to hear your point of view, and I'll tell you what's going on with me. Because again, there might be things, again, cervical cancer, I can only imagine the surgery that they had to do, maybe something that they did cut off her sexual desire, who knows. But to yell, scream, and tell that man, I don't understand why you would even bring this up to me. What is he supposed to do? Be celibate until he's dead?
Yeah, that's crazy. No. Sir, you're not an asshole, sir. Gonna get you a shot, chick.
I don't even know. I just don't listen. We talked about it a couple of shows ago where I said, and you agreed, I can love you immensely and still walk away.
Yes.
Right? I can love you immensely and still walk away. I don't believe in selflessness completely, where you all of a sudden, I get married and all I think about is your wants, needs, and desires. I have wants, needs, and desires. And the reality is, the reason I'm marrying you and settling down with you is because I want you to be the only person who deals with my wants, needs, and desires. That's what marriage is about. I am saying that I'm committing to you, and all of the wants, needs, and desires I have are going to be met by you. And I shouldn't have to look outside for peen from anybody else, because that's what you were there for. And to think that she's capable of doing it, right? And the thing about it is, if he had said that she'd had the surgery 2 months ago, I would say, absolutely, sir, you're the asshole. But he said 2 years ago. And she has acknowledged to him that it's not pain, it's desire. So you don't have a desire for your husband?
Yeah, sound like he's a hostage.
Sir, divorce. So Mr. Miss said, this is like going to your favorite restaurant where the food is real good, but they stop serving drinks for the rest of their existence, and you're not allowed to bring outside drinks in with you.
That, right? Make it make sense. I mean, that just comes down. She is selfish at this point.
She is selfish.
That's what, I mean, I get it, ladies and gentlemen. She has gone through something, but it's that's 2 years ago. Like how long?
700, even 2 years exactly. 730.
I mean, I'm saying, like, so how long am I supposed to just sit around and wait? I'm just saying, that's a real question. How long?
Not 730 days.
And also, let's factor in, they're in their young 20s. They're 20s.
If these people were 65 years old,
different story.
Right, different conversation. Because I'd be like, listen, old man, sit your ass down. It is what it is. But the man is not even 30 yet, and this is what is happening. No, I could not see that being my son or my brother, or me sitting around advising him to say, yeah, sit around and be miserable for the next 40 to potentially 50 years, and maybe wait another 2, 3, 4 years before have sex. And again, if they're not having sex, they can't even start a family. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're young. So even if this man wants kids, how's he going to start a family with a woman who won't even let him touch her and have sex with her? So then kids are potentially out of the window.
Yeah.
What is the point of this?
She don't want to be alone. She don't want to be alone, and she don't want to have to do anything.
She doesn't want to be alone, but she doesn't want him. Because trust me, when you want your husband and when you want that man, there is nothing that's going to hold you back. Because the reality is, even if you're not feeling the desire, I guarantee you they make drugs for that. Or you can go to a naturopath and find whatever herbs or things to stir up your sexual desires. She's not even trying.
Right.
And that's awful. So divorce her, sir. I created a Reddit account, and I think I actually might respond to that one and just be like, you're not the asshole, and I think you just need to divorce her. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of these questions before we log off. And this is from tonight's conversation. And I'd love to hear both. Actually, this is an interesting one. If a man proposes to his girlfriend and she declines, is the relationship over?
Hell yeah.
Oh.
Yes. And that goes with even just trying to date someone. If I tell a girl I'm very interested in her and I want to get to know her, and she's like, oh, no, I just see you as a friend. Oh, conversation over. I'm not doing that to myself. I'm going to keep it pushing. No. You're not going to friend zone me. You're not going to have me as your confident booster. You know what I'm saying? No, negative. It's over. It's done. Go ahead.
I have nothing. God, you answer. That is, now I am someone who was proposed to, said yes, and then broke it off later, right? Because I said yes when I really should have said no, but I said yes because I love that man and he was great to me. But as the relationship progressed, I realized, you know what, like, we shouldn't be married, and I think we both agreed to that. But I could not imagine looking at him so happy on his knees with that ring that he's gone and do, and then I look and just say no. Like, I don't know. But I question though, if she is saying no, they were clearly on different pages, right? Something is amiss, because there's no way you're in a space. Because even again, if you guys break it off later, because like I did, because we just realized there was a distance issue, there were all these other complicated issues that when we started thinking about our future together, as much as we loved each other, it wasn't going to work. But in that moment, seeing that man on his knees and loving him so much and knowing what he'd done, there's no way I could have looked at him and said no. But like, they were clearly not on the same page and something was missing.
Right.
But the relationship would be over too. Like, even as a woman, like, I could, like, I couldn't say no and then expect the relationship to still continue. I don't think that makes sense.
Yeah.
You've made a decision that I don't want forever with you. That's basically what you're telling that man. So, next question. Okay, a woman is leaving her relationship because her spouse says he is no longer physically attracted to her. Is this a responsible action?
He's no longer. That's it?
Yeah, that's all you just said. I'm no longer physically attracted to you.
Dang, that's I need more meat on that potato. I need more information. That's kind of, I mean, were they together for a long period of time? Did she gain weight? Like, what happened?
I think leaving, I would be curious. I'm with you. Like, I would be sitting down and finding out, why are you no longer physically attracted to me? Is it my weight? Is it my looks? Is the way I wear? Like, what is it about me that you used to be attracted to and that you're no longer attracted to me? I think that's a conversation. I'm not walking away from marriage, because listen, physical attractiveness is likely probably related to weight.
It
generally is related to weight. Right? And weight can be changed. Just stop eating as much as you're eating, go to the gym, commit yourself, be healthier, all of that stuff. So I would say it's not a responsible action to just be walking away. If it's just that, if there's more, then that's something different. But just him saying that he's not attracted to her anymore is not grounds to leave your marriage. That's my opinion.
I agree.
That's crazy. Mr. said no need to think about that. The relationship is over. That's related to the engagement one. He said, yep. Their sex life is already over at that point. Interesting. That's an interesting take. If a man is no longer physically attracted to a woman, that does impact the sex. Do you not want to have sex with her anymore?
Of course.
Oh. But when do you tell her?
I mean, you still can have sex with her, but she'll have to do the extra to get you to the point of being aroused. Like, I'll do it, but you gotta do this girl for a little bit, and then all right, I'll do it. Versus you stepping out the shower with just a towel only. Bing! It's a difference.
Ladies, listen up. Okay. This is a controversial one. And I've actually answered this one on the show before, and people did not like my answer. So let's hear it. True or false? After a baby is conceived, a man should be able to have a financial abortion if he doesn't want the child.
So this will probably apply to people that are not married, right?
Correct.
Right? Like that's all I can look at. So these are like the one night stand. These are the
correct. We were going with the flow.
Right.
These are them.
Going with the flow, or or you trap me, get me something, and then all of a sudden now you're pregnant. NBA players, right?
Yes. Yes.
Getting pregnant by a 40-year-old woman. Yeah. That's a good one. But we just went over the scenarios. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, it's really the same thing the guy said. I guess yes. I think it's cool. I don't see a problem with that.
I said yes as well.
And also, and women like, well, you shouldn't. Well, it's your responsibility to take care of your womb. Let's call it what it is. I'm tired of y'all trying to blame men. Well, he shouldn't run up in her raw. I agree. He could have got something worse than a baby, and it could have been AIDS, STDs, whatever else. But unfortunately, he just got a baby. Yay. But at the same time, that is your womb. That is your body. You let somebody that you don't know impregnate you with an alien. Movie just came out. That's going to grow inside of you. Then it's going to come out of you. And you got to take care of it for the next 18 years, regardless if he's in the picture or not. Let's not do that.
I 100% agree with that, and so does Mr. because he also said yes. I said I had a very similar answer. I said it is our responsibility to protect our womb. I have never been in a situation where a man was allowed in me raw that I didn't allow in me raw, right? Because if you don't allow them, it's called SA, right? And you get charges for that. So the reality is you willingly let a man that you barely knew, did not know what plans he had for you, skeet, in you, and you end up pregnant, and then you say, hey, we're having a baby, and he says, no, that's not what I want. And he says, okay, cool, you want to have that baby? Well, you're on your own. That's the chances we take of having baby with men who don't want them. Like, ladies, we have to learn a lesson. We are responsible for our own actions, and there are consequences to actions. And unfortunately, this is one of the consequences. And I get it. Our body, our choice. Man's money, his choice.
There we go. They don't want to have that conversation. They don't want to talk about that.
I just don't. I think it is, and I agree with that. I'm seeing what's coming up, Mr. And he's talking about both parties are responsible for pregnancy. Here's the problem. Both parties are responsible for pregnancy. There we go. But the woman gets the final say in whether or not a baby gets born, right? I say to people all the time, I am a mother of one by choice, not on accident. I'm a mother of one by choice. This is a choice why I only had one child, right? It is a choice because if I didn't want children, I did things to protect myself from having children. And guess what? If I got pregnant and I didn't want that baby, there were places I could go to make sure that that baby never saw the light of day. And that's awful, but God forget, like, we have that ultimate choice. If I don't want to have the baby, I'm not having the baby. If I do want to have the baby, I am having the baby. So I think it is completely unfair for us as women to be like, but he shouldn't have. Well, you should have ensured that you were protecting yourself because there's so many forms of birth control, or don't have sex with men who don't want you. But you know, there's that.
There you go.
Okay. Assuming a man is not paying child support, should he be responsible for a portion of the household bills where his child stays? Twins.
Hell no. No. You know why? Because
Why?
even if the child wasn't there, you still be paying your own bills.
I agree.
And also, let's flip it. Okay, so when I do have the child in my possession, are you gonna pay my bills now because I have the kids for that time frame too? See, they don't like that part. It don't go both ways. They don't like that. I don't care if I have them just for 2 days. Well, 2 days they run up all electricity, they eat all my snacks. So I need compensation for those 2 days as well. Let's go. Let's get it.
I agree. Listen, I think if he's not paying direct child support, as in whatever the money is, then the kids generally have activities, right? There's school fees, there's activities, there's all of these things that happen. There's incidentals. And so maybe the deal is that he pays for the incidentals when it comes to the upkeep of the child. At the end of the day, the child, you need a place to live. So you're going to live somewhere regardless. And you have a child, that child is going to live with you. And therefore, it is not the responsibility of some men if you decide to live in a $2,500 or $3,000 a month apartment to help you take care of the bills within that apartment. He is responsible for the upkeep of his child or children, and that only. I think it would be crazy to think that is a thing.
I agree.
Hold on. And Mr. Fisker said, and he doesn't live there. Fuck no. If he has respect for her as a grown ass adult, she needs to act like one. Her household bills are her bills, and vice versa. It's just what it is, right? There's other arrangements, people, other than the exchange of money. You can actually have a great co-parenting relationship, and money is never exchanged. Trust me, I did it for many, many years. My daughter's father and I agreed in court. I think she was 8 to cut off the whole child support thing. It wasn't worth the argument and fight that we were having over it. And we just shared time and things with her. And we're still doing this to this day. And she's 22, almost, gosh, she's gonna be 23 years old next month. So money does not have to be exchanged. It's all about what's for the betterment of your child. Anywho, so those are the last questions. We've covered quite a lot in this show. Before we go, as usual, we are going to give our dating tips for the night. So, twins, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first tonight. So, dating tip I have is this: in the early stages before you even have sex, you need to talk about finances. That should be a conversation that you do have, because we talk about sex like it's no problem, and y'all get pregnant like it's no problem. But then when you find a person ain't got no money, that's a problem. Make it make sense. I'm not saying the person needs to be rich. I'm not saying they need to be gold digger. All I'm saying is that before you get somebody a baby, you need to figure out how they handle their finances. Because at the end of the day, if you do have a child, daycare, formula, clothes, whatever, it's something that's going to happen. So if we ain't talking about finances, then that's a problem. So find out what the coins, find out the savings, and see how good they were with money before you want to get them a baby. I'm done.
That's a good one. I'm actually going to give similar advice. So my dating tip is, ladies, find out everything you feel you need to know about a man before you have sex with him, not after. Because that is often what we're doing. We see him, he's handsome, or for whatever reasons you feel, you know, what's the third date? I'm going to give him sex. I think a lot of women are giving themselves physically before they ever give themselves emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. And so now you've given a man and attached yourself to him physically, and now you want to dig deeper, but all he wants to do is dig you deeper. He doesn't want to dig deeper to get to know you. He wants to dig you deeper. And now you're mad because that's his focus. But had you gotten to know the things that you felt were enough to validate, to determine whether that man deserves your body, you would know that he's not it. And you would move on, right? So that is my dating tip. Hey, SB, and Mr. I love the fact that you give dating tips as well. Mr. It's great. I'm telling Mr. I need you to come on this show and join us one week, and we will have a great chat. Also, Mr. and SB, what city are you guys in? I am in my mind. I'd love for Twins and I, in sometime in the future, to do a 5-city tour, at least a couple of city tours eventually. I'm working on a new book, a bunch of different things that I'm doing. So might not be 2025, but it definitely be 2026. So if you let us know the cities that you're in, because we want to go in cities where we know people who are supporting us, and maybe have you be a part of the show. Okay, so Mr.'s dating tip. Don't have unprotected sex with any person you're not married to. God, that's a good tip. That alone would eliminate a significant portion of problems between men and women regarding family.
I have no arguments with that. That's true.
Ooh, child. And listen, let's also define for ladies what unprotected sex means. Unprotected sex is just not condoms, right? Unprotected sex is also protecting your womb. Whether you're on birth control, whether you're on the patch, whether you're on the IUD, whatever it is. Any type of sex where you don't protect the possibility of unwanted pregnancies, that is unprotected sex. So you can absolutely have sex without a condom, right? But still be protected. And I'm going to actually add to that. And this is something that always kills me, especially with people at our big age. How are you going to jump into bed with a man or woman and not know that what their STD or sexual status is? Let me tell you something. I am my big age and not laying in bed with you unless you and I are going to the doctor before we have sex, getting a full checkup, and I can see what your test results are. There's no oops. We're way too grown to be just being like, oh, we just fell into bed. At 35, 40, 45 years old, we're still doing this? No. So to Mr.'s point, also, I'm going to add, do not have sex with anyone who you do not know their most current and recent sexual health status. Because I do not plan to, the next time I give my woo-ha away, I am not closing it up for as long as I've closed it up just to go and fall into bed with a man and I don't know what his sexual health status is. Absolutely not. Oh, okay. Mr. says, I live in Dallas, but I'm always on the road. Example, I'm in Los Angeles right now. Well, Dallas and like Houston would be definitely on my list. And SB is in Montreal, which is in Canada. So that would bring you to Canada. Je ne parle pas français. Like I just basically said, I do not speak French. Very badly, I just said I do not speak French. Although I am learning better French on my Duolingo. So I might speak a little bit more French. I read French better than I speak French. So that would be interesting to be in Montreal. So that would be great. SB absolutely said, absolutely too grown for reckless behavior. Oh, I love that more people are joining this chat. So SB's in the chat. Just Spade is in the chat. I was about to jump off, but I want to read these comments before Twins and I leave. So Just Spade is saying, as I wait for it to pop up here, I'm more worried about a woman being a mental health case and my night of fun ends up with me being the ER or the morgue. Just Spade, what kind of women are you encountering and where are you meeting these women? Or listen, I've heard men say that they have demon peen, and peen be turning a lot of these women crazy. In my 44 years and 28 years, because I started having sex, you can do the math on that, what age I was, but I have never encountered any peen that would actually make me go crazy in any way, slash any tires, break any windows. I like my freedom. I do not belong in jail. None of this is ending up in jail. So I know what kind of demon spawn peen these women are getting, but I don't want it. I don't need it. Mr. says, me personally, I went to the doctor with my ex before we ever did anything. We got checked and we got her on injectable birth control because I can't do condoms. I used to do that. I used to do the Depo-Provera shot as well. But that's smart. That is actually brilliant. That is a man taking his own sexual health and reproduction health in his own hands. He didn't just say, oh, let me go do the checkup, making sure you go. He said, let's go do the checkup and let's prevent this pregnancy. And if that woman had said no, I bet you, Mr. you'd have been like, deuces.
On to the next one.
Deuces.
On to the next.
That is real, men. That is some great dating tip. If you are in a position where you care about a woman, but you know that you are not ready to start a family with that woman or start a family at all, not only make sure that you know her sexual health status, encourage her if she's not get on birth control to get some birth control and be there when she does. And the Depo-Provera shot is great. I used to have it back in the day. It's literally every 3 months. They inject you, you basically forget it, and you're on a timer, and your doctor said it so that you never miss it. There's never a point where you generally miss that Depo-Provera shot. But I love that. Sexual health and reproductive health is both people's responsibility. And I just think we have to be more mindful in these times where people are talking about they have like undetectable HIV. There's just all of these things and conversations that are happening. You just don't want to be a part of that. Please take your sexual health seriously. This is not just about physical connection. A lot of people are out here dying because they wanted to have one night of fun with a person, and then that's that. They find out that they have a disease. And there was a man, there were actually a couple of cases that come up where men were actually willfully going out and having sex with women, knowing that they were HIV positive and not telling their partners. And I always trust you. If when you saw the pictures of those men, you know what they look like because they ain't ugly, right? These were not ugly men. These were very attractive men, and women were ignoring that basic, like just basic health concern because these men were very attractive. And some of these women generally probably were not used to getting such attractive men, but you should probably wonder why. This man is just wanting to be European because he was actually weaponizing his disease. Or is that what you can call it? I think it's called disease. But he was weaponizing it because he was angry because clearly some women gave it to him. And now he was just going around and spreading it to as many women as he could. So which is awful. So that's the show. We had a great show. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share. I see so much of you showing us so much love, but we're not seeing it in our viewership and in our numbers and our subscribers. So please make sure you're sharing this with a friend and they share it with a friend, and your mama, your daddy, the dog, everybody, make sure that they are subscribing because we are giving out good information here. Again, every week we will pin the link to join the show will be in the comment section. So make sure that you can join us. Please come and join us. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have any topic ideas, we are always open because, again, we are here to change the conversation around Black relationships. At Usual Twins, I appreciate you for everything that you do and for joining me on this journey. And SP, Mr. Jack Spade, and all of you that were watching that didn't comment, we appreciate you. We love you. We love your support. We'll see you next week. Bye.